You're listening to the Angry Marks Podcast Network.
I am your host, Killer Kev. Joining me tonight on this show is the illustrious, the one and only, the man holding down the East Coast syndicate of the Angry Marks Podcast Network. That would be Nikolai. Nikolai, how the fuck are you tonight?
Oh, man, I'm great. I'm just finishing the rest of ECW right now. It's having a good tag team match right now, but with your intro right there, could have fooled me for Jim Cornette and his rant.
Anyway, on the line as well, we have the founder of the Angry Marks Network here to grace us with his presence, the one and only Stevie J.
And I didn't recap ECW tonight. I chose to watch Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Finals instead. Big up to Danberg for recapping the show for me. Danberg, the newest star of the Angry Marks Podcast Network.
Yep, Danberg, thanks a lot for covering that, and I'm sure Stevie had a lot of fun watching his Red Wings go down in flames.
Fuck you.
Not that I care about either team. I used to be a Chicago Blackhawks fan, but it's been years since I've really watched any hockey myself. Oh, shit, Tommy Dreamer laying a smackdown on his own in the ring.
Yeah, with the kendo stick, beating up everybody in sight and going bald right from the top. Signed to a new 5-year contract, so we'll see him only get balder and balder as time goes on.
Well, let's see. Is he gonna sit there and protect Christian only to turn around and slap him a little bit too? He needs to.
Well, I think it's going to really be extreme. He needs to beat the piss out of everybody in sight with that kendo stick right now.
If I was him, I would take that stick and go ahead and use it against Christian, because it's been announced on ECW TV tonight that it will be Tommy Dreamer facing Christian for the ECW title on next week's 3-hour Raw episode. I don't see why you would need to. You just signed a new contract, and you're the new champion, so, you know.
Hey, speaking of asses, we're going to start off the show with a little bit of controversy here. This is the inaugural broadcast of the Ring the Bell show, and I went on the Drunk Cast this past Friday night, in part to help promote the show and to say hi from Stevie J and Lady J and bring up some of the other things that were happening on the Angry Marks Podcast Network this weekend. And we had this fucking little jackhole call in, and I'll just go ahead and play you this clip.
Yeah, we got another caller here, so I'm going to put him on the line here.
John W. Ringo, how y'all? Something's sticking in my craw.
Usually you're drunk.
Yeah, well, here's my issue. What is it with people calling in and talking for like 10 minutes where they say nothing but this plug for this other show got shit to do with what's talking now? It's like they didn't even hear the first part of the show. I'm putting a moratorium on it, goddammit. John Ringo says, don't call in and just plug your goddamn show and not try to stay on topic. You just had a fucking living legend on there, and someone's, oh, my new Blog Talk radio show. You just call and kick it. He's giving you instructions on what to do on his show, on your show, and all that fucking limp dick, dickless punk could call in and talk about with his fucking show, and how you could call into his show and you could talk about his show. What the fuck? Limp dick, dickless punk. Well, I mean, it's one or the other, but neither one's very estimable.
Well, first of all, how can he be both lip dick and dickless at the same time? And second of all, you didn't include the disclaimer on there that Ed immediately threw in that the views of the Drunk Cast are not excessively expressed by the views of Johnny Ringo. So there you go.
Oh, no, I'm not blaming him for that. But here's my question. First of all, who the fuck is this punk?
Johnny Ringo, he's been calling in the Drunk Cast for months now. I've been on the air with him several times. He's actually not that bad of a guy. He just, like most people on the Internet, he has a boner for you when it comes to hearing your voice.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, he can come take a look at my lip dick boner if he wants to. He can come suck my ball sack and apologize to me for that bullshit he put on the air. First of all, he's going to sit there and complain to me about not saying anything about them interviewing a great legend, Larry Zbyszko, on the air, completely surprised everybody. Fucker, if you were actually paying attention to the goddamn show instead of trying to stroke your own fucking ego there, you'd know I was listening to the show from the start. I would have loved to ask Larry some questions there, but Larry wasn't taking any questions, and that's fine because, you know, a legend like that, he probably doesn't need to be hearing a bunch of questions from a bunch of smart marks like you, me, and everybody else who listens to this show. But what the fuck? I paid my props to Peach Machine for getting that interview, and that was great. You know, what more could I have added to a great interview that he did? So, you know what? Fuck you, Johnny Ringo. If you got a problem with me, I now have my Blog Talk show on. It's on the air. You've got the number, area code 347-637-2815. You can call in anytime. This show is completely open to the callers of the Angry Marks Podcast Network. Not only can you get angry, you can call back and you can tell us about it. And even Johnny Ringo can come in and get his little 15 minutes of fame if that's what he wants.
Well, Johnny Ringo's already had 15 minutes of fame on the Angry Marks Podcast Network anyway, so that's not even the point I was going to make. The point I was going to make is that Johnny W. Ringo is not necessarily getting on you for representing the Angry Marks Podcast Network. He was getting on the case of he feels that a living legend should get an entire hour to be on the show, and Johnny Ringo has no control over how long Larry Zbyszko is on the show, so he should just shut the fuck up about that, because before the show even started, Peach Machine and Larry Zbyszko agreed to a half hour, and that was the amount of time that was allotted to the show. So if he feels damn bad about it that he doesn't get to hear more from Larry Zbyszko, then you know what? He can fly down to Tampa, Florida, he can hang out in the Smoky Bones bar, and he can wait until Larry Zbyszko walks in and gives him a chop across the chest. Because whatever. You know, if he wants Larry Zbyszko's cock that bad, just fucking let him go to Tampa and get it.
Yep, indeed. And online, speaking of, but we're gonna plug another show here real quick. I believe we have on the line right now the host of Rubber Guard Radio, which airs on Angry Marks Podcast Network every Wednesday at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific Time. I believe this is Kid Zombie.
110 plus shows in the fucking can.
Fuck the trolls.
That's right. And you know, Johnny Ringo, you gotta get creative with your fucking nicknames. You've watched Tombstone one too many times. Remember, he lost to Doc Holliday in the end.
Well, it was either that or he's one too much of a fan of Doc Holliday and the Beatles. He's just trying to cross the two up.
Well, you know what? I would plug my show for tomorrow night, but I have no guests. So.
I mean, think about it. I don't have a guest Thursday night either. I've been trying to get both Blade Braxton and whoever the fuck. I can't even remember who the other guest was I tried to book for Thursday night, but I don't have a guest either, so don't worry about it.
I'm gonna have Matt Bishop on from Lights Out Radio just to run down UFC 99 and the past weekend, the UFC of MMA.
That's right.
So.
Thank you for reminding me. That's the other person I have booked is Gigi, Garrett Gonzalez from FightGameBlog.com. He'll come on to talk UFC 99 as well. So it's going to be all MMA coverage on Angry Marks this week.
There it is.
Yeah, it's going to be fucking awesome. You know, the action this past weekend was great. You know, I'm not going to get too much into that because I'm not going to steal any of the light from the other great shows that are going to be on the Angry Marks Podcast Network. You know, part of the reason that we started this show was simply for the fact that we could use this show to plug everybody else, so and give light to some of the other superstars that we've got on this network.
And to talk a little
By the way, Kev, when I hear your voice, I do get a hard on. So just so you know. And
so
my wife thanks you.
Won.
You're awesome.
I don't need no blue pill, brother. I just need to, pop on the Angry Marks podcast and boing, ready to go, baby. Let's go.
Call in and get your free sample of Kill a Kev today.
God.
Oh shit! You're gonna make me record a commercial, aren't you?
Exactly.
We're also While I got you on the line, Zombie, I do want to thank you for these awesome DVDs that you did send me, courtesy of Wrestle Warehouse.
Where's it? WrestleWarehouse.com.
What did I send you?
You sent me Lucha American Style, the best and worst of Lucky Pierre, KZ's Indie Spotlight, and Wrestle Warehouse presents the best of SoCal Crazy and SoCal Wrestling, disc number 1.
Okay.
And number 2. I forgot.
And number 2. You got to watch number 2, the last match. That's from February. It's a cage match, and it's probably the SoCal match of the year that's not Pro Wrestling Guerrilla. In other words, quality wrestling. It's Jason Redondo defending the SoCal title against SoCal Crazy. If SoCal lost, he had to lose his mask.
Hey, Zombie, while you're on the line, give us the Pro Wrestling Guerrilla update, because I just got an email from Keith Lipinski today telling me about the next big PWG show.
June 28th, that's all I know.
That's all you know.
I'm taking today off, brother. I'm not doing any work.
Oh, okay. You got to get on that mailing list from Keith Lipinski and Silverback, because I get updates from them like every 3 days.
Whatever. You know what? I just assume not plug PWG.
Why? What you got against PWG?
Oh, no. It's not against PWG. It's about the SoCal scene in general. My heat is with SoCalUncensored.com. Now, they give all the love and all the fucking hard-ons and cum shots to fucking PWG. Now, there are other quality wrestling in Southern California. You know, Southern California does not end in Los Angeles. It ends in San Diego. And, Kev, you have the proof. You have that SoCal crazy DVD set. That's all I've got to say is watch the set, then you let me know what you think. And San Diego doesn't get enough love. And it's a shame because there's really good talents down there. And they use some of the Gorilla guys. They use Scott Lost. They use Joey Ryan. It's just these fucking uptight assholes from L.A., they don't want to drive down to San Diego. They don't want to check out DVDs. Jeff Dino, the owner of WrestleWarehouse.com and SoCalProWrestling.com, he has offered to send free DVDs to these assholes, and they don't want them. They won't even give him a mailing address so he can send them free footage, and they just won't have it. They're busy fucking creaming all over, Pro Wrestling Guerrilla and the Young Bucks. There's more out there. And I'll tell you, I'll tell you this: the Young Bucks wouldn't be what they are now if they did not work the program with the Ballard brothers in San Diego. And that's
we got a straight up turf war in California. We got like Crips versus Bloods here.
It's complete disrespect because Southern California ends at Mexico.
Actually, I thought it went all the way to Baja California, but what do I know?
No, that's actually Mexico. But they're considered their own little thing. So they have their own workers over there that usually don't leave there. If they do, they come up north to San Diego.
All I can say is, for me, there's one big scene in California because I don't fucking live there. I go from everything from Hollywood all the way up to Bakersfield. It's all one scene to me.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Bakersfield, I think Bakersfield's the cutoff. I don't remember where the cutoff in the middle of the state is, but, I'm up in Northern California. But, we're in the middle of our own renaissance here. There's so many promotions. Like, I have to tell you guys about the Pro Wrestling Revolution show from this past Saturday. The main event, Oliver John challenging Blue Demon for the NWA title. Now, Oliver John comes out at the beginning of the show, cuts a promo, and out comes a masked guy in a Blue Demon mask wearing the red NWA World Heavyweight title. And Oliver John pins him, and he's named the new champion. Oliver John comes out right before the end of the show, and he calls out anybody. He says, anybody want a shot in that locker room or in this building for this title? Out comes the real Blue Demon wearing the black original NWA title. And he comes out, they have a great match, and the fake Blue Demon slides in the ring, and Oliver John pins him, and before the three, the real Blue Demon pulls him out, and Oliver John gets pinned. And Blue Demon retains the title. But what really cracked me up here was that Blue Demon did the John Cena, you can't see me, and he says to Oliver, you know what this is? Oliver says, no. He says, it's 5 of these, and he gives him the finger. Then in this broken Mexican, he calls Oliver John in San Francisco a faggot. I loved it. I was a fucking mark in the front row. Fucking tremendous. But yeah, it was a good show top to bottom. Gabe puts on really good stuff. Pro Wrestling-Revolution.com. If you're in Northern California or even Central California, check them out. A good mix of lucha, good mix of indie guys. Really fun show. Thoroughly entertained. I got the most heat in the building, I think. During the main event, I was screaming USA, USA with my friends around me. And there were 900 Mexicans around us that were yelling Mexico, Mexico. So right after the final bell, I bolted out. I was gone. I made plans, with the boys to meet up later. I'm like, I'm gone. See ya. I had to go, or I would have been lynched. But it added to the main event. It was quite a good time.
Awesome.
So.
Totally fucking awesome. Well, Stevie J just dropped off the board here. I don't know if he had to run real quick or what the hell's up with that. We'll see if he calls back in just a minute. We're going to give a shout-out to the chat room real quick. Not only do you have me and Nikolai in the chat room, we've also got Peter H. And
Peter
he gives you a shout-out.
Canadian.
Yes, he gives you a shout-out.
I love you, Pete. You know, not all Canadians are cocksuckers. Just those that are named Helmy. But that's a whole different story. Now,
and we've also got Chaos and Order in the chat room, and he made the comment that NorCal has Pro Wrestling Revolution and Heritage Champion Oliver Jones. So he's obviously in the conversation here. Very good. If you also want to get in the conversation, you're listening to the show right now, you can call us in at 347-637-2815. We got plenty of open phone lines, and you can discuss whatever we want. If you're just tuning into the show, right now on the switchboard with me, I've got my co-host Nikolai, and we've also got Kid Zombie from Rubber Guard Radio.
Okay. Well, oh yeah, I'm going to talk to him when he gets here tomorrow. I was going through the Figure 4 boards today, and there was a thread up there talking about what Umaga should do now that he is released. Kevin, where do you think he's going to go?
He'll probably just work some indies for a while, wait for his 90 days to end. It wouldn't surprise me if he ends up on TNA, but I don't think it would be out of line to see him start working in Europe.
Yeah, kayfabe that, but that's already been confirmed. So,
what has?
Europe.
Oh, okay.
So,
I was just taking a guess at that because it seems like the European scene has kind of really started to get hot over the last year or so, and just about any time somebody steps out of WWE or TNA, they usually end up going on a pretty good run in Europe. So,
one word: family. That's all I have to say is family.
Yeah,
but
this is true.
I posted in the thread saying that I think that Umaga should sign with DDT so he can feud with the blow-up doll.
A blow-up doll? What the fuck? Oh, Christ. Well, we'll see. Let's see. What was that, Nick?
Do we have
Nikolai, did you say something?
Oh, no, I didn't say anything.
Oh, okay.
Oh, hey, what's up, Mickey?
What's going on?
I didn't even know you were there, brother. I didn't even know you were there. You're so damn
I'm
quiet.
I'm just listening.
Well, I'm downstairs, man. I got tired of watching the Giants and Diamondbacks play home run derby. My boy Matt Cain's getting beaten on, so I figured I'd call in. And plus, the boss, Stevie J, sent me a very angry email. Call in. Yes, sir.
Well, he said it on my behalf. I forgot at the last minute. I was supposed to call you and bring you on just so you could plug the show and everything. We got Stevie J back on the line now. We also got another caller on the line. Let's see what he has to think about Umaga or anything else. Area code 613. Who's this?
What's up, Pete?
You think I missed this party?
That's Peter.
All right, we got Peter H on the line now. What's up, Peter?
Reviews.
How much?
HS movie reviews.
How's that? Hey, Stevie, how about them Penguins, huh?
Yeah, fuck you.
We need to get more Canadian callers. We need Sitting Duck to call in. I want to tell that guy off on the air. I want to tell him where to stick his mixed martial arts gloves.
I think I'm one of the few Canadian Angry Marks on the site. So
there's a lot of news, but there's really not much going on. It's kind of a weird time where we're kind of waiting for the Observer to hop out tomorrow. So Vicky's gone. She got tired of being called a fat cow or a pig, whatever it is. Umaga got cut or left.
Doghouse.
Hey,
or left.
Chris Masters too. Chris Masters got signed.
Yeah, Masters. So
Your world is it we're in when Orton's in the doghouse and Chris Masters gets a new deal.
Well, though, I have to give Chris Masters credit, though. He is going to work off the rest of his dates, so he's not screwing any of my friends.
That's true. He's working all his indie dates, so props for that.
How's he been looking on the indies? I've not really seen anything of him since he left WWE. So
he's worked up here in Northern California a couple times. He's done work rather regularly, like every 3 months for Jesse Hernandez in L.A. area. He's also been on the last few cards for Rikishi's group in L.A., Knox Pro Wrestling. which has got to do with their school. So they're more like dojo shows with the kids, but he's been making appearances. So, he's been hitting his shots, and, he did a couple shots in Europe. Obviously, by looking at him, he has not afforded the really good juice. So, he's got to get that WWE contract to really get the good stuff. So
get those GHS and the anabolics and all the stuff from Mexico.
There it is. There's a reason he's been staying in Southern California.
Indeed.
When he does finally come over, though, where do you put him? Do you put him on SmackDown or do you put him on ECW?
I put him in Florida. They need the help.
Yeah, FCW could use him.
Oh, dear God, yes. Their TV's
Has it really gotten that bad?
Yeah, it's really bad. The pickings are really slim. Really slim. And
Isn't Loki still there? Or?
Yeah, he's hurt. He got hurt right after the match with T.J. Wilson.
Oh, shit.
He had that one match and he got hurt.
Sheesh. I tell you what, all these people getting injured is ridiculous. What about fucking Batista? That motherfucker ain't even been back 2 months yet. He's hurt again. And he's been working hurt for the last 3 fucking weeks. What the fuck is up with this?
You know what? WWE who is more fragile than Ken Kennedy.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what's funny? The reputation that Batista has in the locker room, that he goes through all the divas, I'm surprised his dick hasn't fallen off. That's the next muscle to fall off. Everything else has.
So you say he's going to get gonorrhea from Maria.
There it is. Hey, you could actually trace that DNA back to CM Punk, but, who am I to bash, a straight-edge guy with a cigarette in my hand, okay?
What you will about Punk, but that straight-edge superstar gets a lot of pussy.
Yeah,
if he has to take antibiotics for that, though, does that still make him straight edge?
Yes, but it actually depends on where he gets it, because, it could be a violation of the wellness policy, because you have to have the prescription by your own doctor. So you never know what Mark doctor gave him, the shift of the drip.
I think if it's medicinal, the answer is yes, and if the answer is recreational, it's no.
Yeah, I just can't imagine taking amoxicillin for recreational use, though.
What a rush.
Didn't, Kennedy got fired because he got fired because he was injury prone. Batista gets hurt again. I mean, he's pushing 40 now. He's not going to get much better after he comes back.
They're not going to fire him. He's just going to fall apart in the ring. You remember The Wizard of Oz, right? The end with the witch? Yeah. I'm melting. That's going to be him. I'm melting in the middle of the ring.
How's that not happened to Triple H already?
Well, it did. I was there in San Jose in the front row, so I saw his shit pop.
That's true.
That was nasty. That was some sick shit. We heard it, too. That was sick.
The words of the last boom, ping, ping.
That's it. That's it. So
yeah, that wasn't much fun to watch on TV either. So.
Oh, it was horrendous, man. It was really, really bad. But I got to give the man props. He did work through it. But I think he may have hurt himself more.
Let's take a poll right now on Ring the Bell. Who is more fragile, Candice Michelle, Ken Kennedy, Dave Batista, or Triple H?
Rey Mysterio.
Who? Hey, who?
The list.
There's the ringer for you.
He's still wrestling? I haven't heard of Rey Mysterio since WCW.
Well, he just kind of went out like the last time he did in He just went out in WWE like he did in WCW. He stupidly they put that goddamn mask on the line again, and I got to give props to Chris Jericho, snatching the mask off his head at the same time of faking dodging the 619 and getting the pin. The triple combo right there.
Enough. All right, Jericho has spent quite a bit of time in Mexico, as has Ray. So that's your standard main event program finish when building up a program. So it's nothing fucking new.
Yeah,
sorry to bust your bubble, Kev. It's nothing new.
I know it's nothing new, but it's WWE. It's great. You're right. It was brilliant.
I popped for it. I popped for that. And I popped for Punk winning. But I'm a hardcore lucha mark. You guys know that. And I was like, yeah, buddy, here we go. Now they're hopefully they're going to build to hair and mask, and then they'll get the hair off of Jericho.
Luchas puestas.
They cannot take the mask off Rey. He sells too many masks. It's not going to happen.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens this Friday, because as soon as that mask came off, he covered up his face, he bailed out of the ring, and they did not put the camera on him again.
Which is a total finish. Zombie is absolutely right. That's the way they do it in AAA.
That's it. Throw the towel over the head and run into the back.
Absolutely.
It's great.
That's what the seconds are out there for. Holding the towels. That's exactly why they're there.
Indeed.
You know, hopefully, you know, it does go to hair and mask, and then Jericho will return the favor that he did not return to Juventud.
You know what?
Which was complete disrespect.
Hair and mask at SummerSlam would actually be a reason for me to not only order that fucking pay-per-view, but have people over to watch it. I would throw for that.
Isn't there the Intercontinental title on the line, too?
Yeah, exactly. Hair versus mask, Intercontinental title. I will throw a fucking party and have a barbecue and have people over for that.
I say we throw the belt up. We have a ladder match. Let Ray fucking fall off, lose, and retire after he blows out his knee.
I was just going to say that. Got to blow out the knee there someplace, because you know it's bound to happen.
Didn't the doctor once tell him that he could step off a curb and blow his knee?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, that's fucked up. You know, he's got. I mean, he's got more knee than Muto, but Muto is just a god, and I just did the Muto pose, of course. But well, speaking of Muto, it's amazing this guy could have 5-star matches. Like he had it on my birthday, 6/8/2001, with Tenryu for the Triple Crown. They went 5 stars, and this man had no fucking knees.
Wait a minute. Did you say your birthday is 6/8?
Uh-huh. Yesterday, sir. I just turned 36 years old, yeah.
That's my fucking anniversary, dude. So, fuck, happy birthday and happy anniversary to both of us.
There it is. I guess it's time to drop the kid completely, right?
Yeah, exactly. Matt Zombie Manning, I've been saying that for a while now.
Hey, I'm out of WWE and UFC's key demographic, so I don't count anymore.
Dude, I figured out that I was out of the key demographic a long time ago when Hornswoggle tried to run through a fucking wall.
Oh, God.
Come on, that was hilarious, though.
Hilarious?
That's not comedy. That's not comedy. You want comedy, you watch Kusimbo Tom and Ebasan at the anniversary show this past year for Osaka Pro. That's comedy. Hornswoggle is not comedy. He's a fucking little man that got lucky who's going to be the next one to get cut. But now, the thing is, they could cut him, but they only have to take away half of his salary because they only have to pay the little shit half.
Well, I didn't say he was comedy. I said that spot was funny. There's a difference.
No.
They think it's comedy.
Versus Brian Alvarez. That's comedy.
Yeah, Peach Machine rolling around with Brian Alvarez, that's homosexual comedy. But you filmed it, Stevie, so I guess you're gay by association.
No, if you filmed it, that makes it art.
There were 30 people there watching it, so that makes us all gay then.
I think to the
you know what?
I think Lady J's filmed like 60 or 70% of that. So
I guess we should do that. We should do that next year here in San Francisco. You know, the jokes would be running, won't they?
If you can get the entire empire to fly to San Francisco, I'll film it. That's a promise.
Shit. Probably have better luck at Favors Gym in Berkeley or even Shamrocks in San Jose, but nothing here in the city. Just little dojos. There's nothing.
Actually, I wish I could pay good money to fly right now to Shamrock's Gym in San Jose and roll for 5 minutes with him, just to say I've been in the ring with an MMA legend.
Frank, how about Ken? How about if I were to hook you up with a training session at Ken Shamrock's Gym? Reno.
And Ken, you just need to punch in the face once and he's done.
Well, see, Ken can't let go of that I love pro wrestling because it's not just MMA training. There's also the Reno Scum up there in Reno. They train at his dojo as well, so they also train pro wrestling.
Well, Ken needs to go back to pro wrestling because that's all he's got left.
I wish he would. I would love to see Ken in New Japan.
Ken and
That
Bob
would be fun.
Clapton, New Japan main event. Why the hell not?
Fuck it. Nakamura and Shamrock in a work shoot. Why not? I might even actually enjoy a Nakamura match. Fuck you. Fuck you, Adam Summers.
Even Adam Summers and Mike Stepper would enjoy that shit.
We're all over the place, man. We're in Japan now. Oh my God.
Well, you know what? That's the nature of ring the bell here. You know, it's wide open. There's not, you know, we're not agenda driven. You know, we're not going to have a lot of interviews or anything. You know, this is a show that we just want everybody to call in on and just shoot the shit about anything in pro wrestling, MMA. You know, if you've got something on your mind, if you got something you need to bitch about, you need to call the show and tell us about it. If you're listening now, again, that number is area code 347-637-2815. We've got an open slot on the line where you can slide in right now and get your call in. And, you know, we can hang out in the Angry Marks chat room as well, and that's at AngryMarks.com/chat. And we've got everybody hanging out in there as well. So, you know, come on in. It's a fun fucking show.
Talking about MMA, there's... Oh, go ahead.
I'm going to need you, Kevin, to record a drop for my show of just my call-in number so that I don't have to say it. You do such a good job. You're such a good pitch man. You put Gary Michael Capetta to shame. One hell of a pitch man. That's a cheap plug for my boy Gary. You can get that at Amazon.com.
Hi, Ella Kev here for the Angry Marks Podcast Network. How much would you pay to get this show on the air? Only $19.99. Call now.
Like Mickey Mouse with a cock in his ass. But yeah, it's neither here nor there. Either that or Michael Jackson, one or the other.
That was my session.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, pay me enough and I will shill the shit out of anything. By golly, I will sell ice to Eskimos. I will sell antifreeze to dogs who are thirsty. I will, hell, even that fucking prick whose drop I ran at the start of the show. If he's got something to sell, fuck it, I'll sell it for him. Just pay me.
So firm the PewDiePie.
Johnny Ringo blowjobs?
Oh.
Actually, there is a site that needs to put the fuck over. 57talk.com. Gary there has got some great fucking interviews. Great stuff. If you like classic wrestling, that's good stuff. He just put up part 4 of a very extended talk with Bill Watts. It's really good shit.
Hey, if we're putting over sites, let's put over youtube.com/users/AngryMarks because you can see Kid Zombie cut a promo on Vince Fuller.
Oh, yeah, I keep meaning to go and watch that, and I just keep forgetting every fucking time. What is up with that zombie?
Oh, my God. Okay.
Is that the guy who called in there?
All right. Mr. Fuller, who runs a promotion in Texas, he decided to, you know, he's the quote-unquote veteran. He's been around 11 years, and he decided to attack a young student, a young kid, and after a training session, photo opportunity and training session, and he happened to attack a friend of mine. And I become very upset with him. And he came on my show. He decided to try to cut a promo on me. So I returned the favor on the air. I ripped him a new one on the air. Then I decided, okay, the hell with this. So I cut another promo, had it posted on YouTube. You don't know. Either myself may end up out there in Dallas to take care of the business myself. It could be friends of mine. The thing is, Mr. Fuller is walking down the street looking over his shoulder because he doesn't know who I'm friends with. So now whenever he steps into any arena in the state of Texas, he needs to watch his back because he never knows who's going to be there. So that's that. Watch the promo. It's pretty funny. I got in promo mode. I think I missed my calling.
You sound like Donkey Kong.
What? No, I was going to quote Booker T, but I decided not to drop the dreaded N-word. I didn't want to offend Stevie. The black
Boogie, we go for you, nigga.
That was the best on live TV. God damn. Oh, my God. Why couldn't we get a Harlem Heat program with Hogan?
Oh, shit.
It would have been good stuff. I mean, it would have been the new blood early, you know, the new blood in the Millionaires Club early before that bullshit that they tried to pull later on in WCW. I think it would have been better.
And
they could have put like a Joe Gomez in there with them or something.
How did the New Blood not win that fucking feud? That was the stupidest part of WCW. The New Blood should have beaten the Millionaires Club's ass.
By the book.
The story of WCW. It's just, old guys over the New Blood. All it is. They wanted to prolong their push.
To be honest, guys, I can't explain what the fuck was going on. You have to read Alvarez's book. They hit it right on the bat. I can't say anything more about it. They covered it. They fucking dissected it. They fucking, put it on the flame, flipped it over a couple times.
And that's why the book is called The Death of WCW, because that is exactly the reason why WCW died.
Exactly. No one wanted to lay down for anybody. And when Hogan did lay down for Kidman, wasn't that a joke?
Yeah, I mean, like Billy Kidman became a star out of that, please.
Or how about when Hector Garza, went over fucking Scott Hall? Oh, yeah, I put Hector Garza over. Fuck you.
Hector Garza was more of a star in TNA than he ever was in WCW.
Yes, because he always had better drugs.
Well, I wasn't going to go there, but sure.
That was the gimmick.
Speaking of better drugs here, you definitely needed some better drugs if you were going to watch the WWE pay-per-view this weekend. Nikolai, we've talked a little bit about that pay-per-view. Tell us what else happened on that pay-per-view, or anything on that show worth talking about at all?
Main event.
Oh, yeah. That main event was crazy. I watched the cage match with the WWE title on the line, and how short it was, I was just so confused and actually pissed off at the ending. I mean, I don't have a problem against Batista, but I don't like how they just killed Randy Orton's title run immediately, just like that. Whether Batista's hurt or not, it was just completely unnecessary to take the title off Orton. It takes away all of his star power that he's had going for him and his dominance over the roster, and you just put Batista in there. I mean, nobody really cared about him going in the match in the first place. No one cared about him winning except for the fans who love him for some apparent reason. But just the point of putting it on Batista and the fact that he's hurt and he's been hurt and they should have known he was hurt and he still wins the goddamn match. And then the next night on Raw he has to be taken out just because he has to have surgery on it. I mean, that's what pissed me off was just him winning that match in the first place.
Now I'm squishing around my Magic 8 Ball and I'm looking in and I see the finish of next Monday's Raw, the 4-way. Randy is going to screw Triple H, and there goes your next program for the title. Let me shake it up. And the next thing my Magic 8 Ball says, no pies.
Fail.
Yeah. The other problem I had with the pay-per-view was, again, I have no problem with John Cena, but the fact of him winning was unnecessary. This is the match that the Big Show should have won. I mean, you already had John Cena winning the last pay-per-view. You already had John Cena beating Big Show in other matches, regular or stipulation, and this just goes to prove, it's just going to make Cena haters hate him even more. And the finish was so botched, it wasn't even funny. I mean, he hooked Big Show's leg on the ropes and then put on basically a crossface on him, and Show's foot slipped out, so the cameraman, they took the camera off of Big Show's feet and just focused on his face. I mean, that was basically a crossface. They should have just left it as that and said Cena has a new submission in his arsenal. I mean, there was no need to even call it a STF because it wasn't.
Well, they do a switch to turn heel and miss turning because that all the way. I see, the young 98, 99. But at the end, to me, because Cena's great for a heel turn. I mean, the people want to hate him. They want to hate him. So, but hey, I gotta head out, man. Go check out the Giants Diamondbacks, guys. Thanks for having me on, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
All right, Zombie, thanks for stopping in. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, that was Kid Zombie. He is the host of Rubber Guard Radio that airs here on the Angry Marks Podcast Network every Wednesday, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. Some of the best discussion of mixed martial arts and what's going on the independent scene in pro wrestling. You know what? I wanted to bring that up real quick about independent wrestling. I'm just a little bit pissed off with Nick Cage and CZW and the shit that happened this weekend.
Oh, this shit. Oh, man. Okay.
Yeah, just for those who don't know, Nick Cage was involved in a hardcore match in CZW, which CZW Combat Zone Wrestling is, it's pretty much all exclusive hardcore style wrestling. Nick Cage did a bump where he was going through some light tubes, and it cut open the whole side of his body, and it severed an artery. And he had to be rushed to the hospital and had to have emergency surgery. But the even a bigger issue than the fact that he almost nearly bled to death because of a stupid hardcore stunt like that was the fact that the venue was in a remote area. There was only one road to get to the arena where this was being held. I'm not even sure if it's that way. I'm not even sure if you can call it to an arena. They had to have the fans stay in the building for a full hour so that the ambulance could get there and get him out of there.
Apparently, it wasn't even an arena. It was in the backyard of one of the wrestlers' parents.
Oh, so this was a backyard stunt?
Yeah.
Fuck
One of the wrestlers' parents in the backyard. Like, they had 200, 300 people in this guy's backyard in the frickin' wherever it was, but a huge backyard. They put some people, and that's what it was.
That's what CZW is right now.
Oh, my fucking God. Oh, my God. You know what? Let me just put this out here. When I got to watch The Wrestler early this year, they had the most dramatic spot in that show, I think, was the spot where they had the Ram against Necro Butcher in that CZW match, hardcore match.
Right, and Necro Butcher nipples the fucking dollar bill to his forehead.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, I tell you what, considering that the movie is 100% scripted, and I've seen plenty of my share of hardcore matches live and in person, but the way they scripted that match for a movie was almost way more realistic than a lot of things that I've actually seen an indie promotion do for hardcore wrestling. And once I got done with that scene, I actually had to pause the movie and think back just what happened. And I made a decision that at that point in time, I really could not support hardcore wrestling on that level again, because it's just too dangerous. It's too violent. The workers, most of whom don't have insurance, most of whom aren't getting very good payoffs to begin with, are just completely putting their lives in the hands of their coworkers and of God to take care of them, to make sure that something that doesn't happen to them like what happened to Nick Cage.
When I heard this story, I thought of, when I heard the guy got cut open, in my head, I thought of when Hardcore Holly got sliced up by that table in ECW.
Yeah, well, and on that same note, I went to a local promotion called Pro Wrestling Phoenix, and I saw Dangerous Jason Strife, former Midwest X Division champion, in a no-holds barbed wire match on Valentine's Day, where he and his opponent got fucking ripped up to shreds by the barbed wire. And I was thinking that very same thing at the same time, like, Jesus, do these guys have insurance? Do these guys have medical coverage? Is he going to be able to get stitched up after this match? And I've seen Jason Strife since then, and he's been fine. But, Jesus, the risk these guys take on the indie scene to get themselves over is fucking ridiculous.
Wait, you went to a wrestling show on Valentine's Day? How many people were in the crowd?
For the Valentine's Day Massacre show, I would say there was probably 250, 300 people there.
Oh.
Yeah. So, well, where was this match that Nick Cage is in? It was in a wrestler's house?
No, in the backyard.
No,
whose house?
This one I went to wasn't in a backyard. It was actually in a gymnasium in Council Bluffs, Iowa. So.
Right, but I'm talking about the match that Nick Cage was in here. Whose house was that?
One of the wrestlers on the roster, their parents.
Oh my fucking God! Is there this? And this is in where? Pennsylvania?
I think so.
Yeah, I would assume so. That's kind of where CZW and John Zandig are based out of.
Yeah, that's what I was assuming. Is there no regulators, no wrestling regulation in the state of Pennsylvania at all anymore?
Well, how can you stop yardards from having a backyard match? I mean, there's no amount of regulation that can stop two guys from setting up a ring and having a match in somebody's backyard.
No, there's not. But if it is regulated, there are things that you can do. First of all, every wrestler that was at that show needs to be have their licenses revoked, and they need to be fucking blackballed. There is no fucking reason that a real professional wrestler ever needs to appear on a backyard card for a fucking mark. That is fucking ridiculous. That is fucking degrading. That is fucking disrespectful to professional wrestling. That is just absolutely disgusting, immoral. I cannot say enough bad things about true backyard wrestling. It is entirely too dangerous.
In defense of John Zandig, CZW is not a strictly backyard card promotion. I mean, maybe this card where they had the death match with the light tubes was in somebody's backyard, but CZW has worked in real arenas before. They had a long program with Ring of Honor 2 or 3 years ago. CZW, as far as indie promotions in the United States goes, it's probably in the top 10. You know, it may not be higher up there than Ring of Honor and Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, but CZW is about as established as an indie fed gets in the U.S.
Right, so why the fuck are they running cards in a fucking backyard? Put it in a fucking arena where it belongs. The fact that they put it in the backyard was disgusting enough. The fact that they packed it full of 300 people is even worse. But look what happened. You put them in a bad situation. There's clearly no medical crew there that could clearly take care of any situations like this that have to come up. They're in a remote location. It takes a fucking hour for a goddamn ambulance to get there to try to save this guy's life. Everybody's life was put at risk because some parent wanted to have a pro wrestling show in their goddamn backyard.
Yeah, but the problem here is not that CZW ran a promotion in somebody's backyard to save a few bucks. The problem is that CZW ran a death match with light tubes. Exactly. That's the real problem here. If they ran it in somebody's backyard, it'd be perfectly fine to just set up a ring and have matches. But it was a death match. That was the problem.
No, I would disagree. Granted, I agree that a death match with light tubes and barbed wire, chairs and broken tables and all that. That's dangerous enough. At least the proper thing to do if you're going to run a hardcore match like that is people out. You can get people cleared out. If you need medical attention, the medical attention should be right there at ringside, ready to act if they need to. That clearly wasn't the case here. There was no access to emergency medical. There was no ambulance. A helicopter couldn't have got there. Nothing. If you put that in a proper arena and set up everything properly to take care of the accidents like that, I probably would not have had much of a problem with this. But this is just too much. This is just too risky. It's dangerous. This should be a lesson to any independent wrestler. Do not get yourself involved in a backyard. You're better than this. You're trained better than this. You should be paid better than this. This is just ridiculous nonsense.
I've never understood the appeal of a light tube match. You know what I mean? When I hear that, I just fast forward, I skip it. I just don't get it.
I mean, light tube matches haven't been over since Mick Foley and Terry Funk. I mean, death matches in general. The pinnacle of that shit was in the 1990s in Japan. How can you really go any further from that? I mean, how can that evolve from then till now? There's nothing that a deathmatch wrestler can do that Mick Foley and Terry Funk didn't already do 15 fucking years ago.
It's like Simpsons did it.
Well, some people will do anything to please bloodthirsty fans. I mean, they're gonna be, if they got people who are hardcore fans and diehard fans that will go to the shows and watch just to see someone bleed. The people who are there and getting paid for it, they obviously don't care enough about themselves to go through with it. Otherwise they wouldn't do it in the first place.
If I want to see people bleed, I'll go to UFC. That's not what I go to pro wrestling for.
You know what? Even bleeding in pro wrestling, that's fine. But at least take a cue from UFC and Strikeforce and the MMA promotions. You have to protect the health of the athletes involved. You have to be looking out for them. And it's bad enough that whoever put together this show was not looking out for the health and the best interests of the wrestlers who were put on that show. That is the job of the promoter, to make sure that those guys stay healthy. And he didn't, whoever put this show together, I don't know if it was actually, CZW or, whether this was just a bunch of CZW wrestlers who just threw this together. Whoever organized this failed, and they should be held responsible for this.
Yeah, I gotta get going, guys. But I just wanted to say good first show, and I'll throw one last topic out there. I just heard in the news yesterday, or it might have been today. Switching to MMA real quick. Patrick Cote signed a 4-fight deal with UFC, so shout out to him. And have yourselves a good night, guys. I'll catch the rest of the download. Talk to you later.
Peter, wait.
What?
What about Peter H's movie review?
Oh, I could give you a quick one, I guess.
Go ahead.
Cool. The one I was thinking of doing was my favorite movie of all time, and it actually didn't win a single fucking Oscar. Shawshank Redemption.
Oh, fucking great movie. That's in my top 5.
Yeah. And the reason it didn't get a single Oscar was because fucking Forrest Gump came out the same year.
Yeah, well, that's a crime against humanity, but quite frankly, the fucking fact that Morgan Freeman is in that shit and Tim Robbins should tell you all that you need to know about that movie. It's a fucking great movie.
Yeah. It starts out with him being accused of murder and going to the prison and, befriending the inmates and, trials and tribulations of living in the fucking prison, being a prisoner. And, him breaking out at the end. It's a really great movie and my favorite movie of all time. It really speaks for itself. And, I'm actually in the process of reading the short story it was based on from Stephen King, so.
Yeah, that was the fact that amazed me was I was a Stephen King fan even before that movie came out, and I didn't realize that was one of his short stories until after I had watched the movie. And that just fucking blew me away, the fact that every fucking thing Stephen King has ever written has been made into either a great movie, a great TV show, or a great miniseries. It's like, the guy can do no fucking wrong.
Mm-hmm. I'm having trouble figuring out what movie I'm going to pick next, because I think the next one I'm going to see is probably Terminator or Transformers. I'm still flipping heads or tails on that one. So.
A Decepticon.
All right, guys. I'll talk to you later. Catch you later. Talk to you later. Bye.
All right, later, Peter.
All right, thanks, Peter. That was Peter H., and we have him on the show here every once in a while to do Peter H.'s movie reviews. He always does a real good review. He's been a great friend to the Angry Marks Podcast Network, and we're real glad to have him call in. Well, guys, we've got about 5 minutes left on the show. Oh, wait a minute. No, we don't. We've got 35 minutes left on the show. I'm sorry. I thought I scheduled this for 60. I actually scheduled it for 90. So what the fuck do we want to talk about?
So back to that shit called Extreme Rules.
Okay, I thought we were done with that shit.
Yeah, well, if this show for things to vet about, you might as well talk about Vicky Guerrero and Santina Morella in the pile of hog flop.
Oh, do we have to?
No, we don't, but it's the vent. It's things you get pissed off about. That's what this show is about.
I wasn't even pissed off about it. I just ignored it. I was watching WEC.
Oh.
I'm sorry Nikolai had to endure it, but you know what? First of all, Nikolai, thank you for recapping the show. That was your first pay-per-view that you got to recap, and you got to do a great job at it.
Oh, hell yeah. He got like 2,500 hits for that shit, so Nikolai gets all the props.
And that's pretty good considering it was a shitty pay-per-view. So.
That's probably why everybody was reading it, because nobody wanted to pay for it.
You know what? You're right.
What we're here for.
You're absolutely right. Every time WWE runs a shitty pay-per-view, our hits go up.
It's a great point, too. The pay-per-view itself wasn't all that bad. I mean, you had tiresome feuds, but you also had some new feuds, new matches. It was I give it like more so in the middle, but leaning towards good. So I'd probably give it about 3 out of 5. It started off great. I mean, the Fatal 4-Way match, which really wasn't extreme at all. So, but the match itself was good, which I still appreciate. You know, Kofi Kingston retaining the title against 3 other opponents. The Chris Jericho Mysterio match, another great match these two had, in addition to another great match Chris Jericho had. So, I mean, we already touched on the whole mask gripping earlier, but, you know, I thought a lot of the things that happened in the pay-per-view I considered to be unnecessary. The matches themselves were good, but just the endings were just completely off the mark and not needed at all. I mean, the only exceptions I have is probably the United States Championship match. You know, that was good for everything itself. The ECW match where Tommy Dreamer finally gets another title run. I mean, that was probably one of the biggest pops of the night.
And actually, Tommy Dreamer's title run this is always the best of his career because it lasted longer than 20 minutes.
Yeah, already been longer than his previous run. Too bad the same couldn't be said for Jeff Hardy. His title run was actually shorter than his previous run. He's actually
shorter
taking the role
and it was shorter in Tommy Dreamer's run.
Yeah, that's what I was just saying. I mean, like I said, I mean, the pay-per-view itself was great, but, you know, the first 4 matches were good. And then you had that shitty-ass hog pen match in the middle, which completely killed all morale of the whole pay-per-view. And you had followed by the short cage match where Batista won, which we didn't need, followed by Big Show and John Cena, which took 20 minutes, with Cena winning, again, which we didn't need to see. But the main event was definitely picked up, and I'm glad that the ladder match was the main event. I mean, normally when you have a stipulation match with 2 experienced wrestlers, one of them may not have been in a match before. You know, you'll have, say, Edge and Undertaker in a TLC match. You know, one of these men is used to it, and they'll take the most bumps. This time, this was a ladder match with Edge and Jeff Hardy. Both of them have been in the most ladder matches of anybody, so they know how to take spots, and they each took equal spots in this match, which was very good to see. You know, you didn't have to rely on one man to pop the crowd and everything. But what did pop the crowd was Jeff Hardy winning. And, you know, I almost jumped out of my chair. I almost stopped recapping the show because I was into the match itself. You know, I had to remember I had a job to do, but, you know, Jeff Hardy winning, I almost had all capitalized words in the recap at the end, but that got stopped as soon as CM Punk came out, and I could not believe what I was seeing.
To the darkest days.
You know, it was interesting because he hit the GTS and Jeff Hardy kicked out. And you could see that look on Punk's face, like, I can't believe this motherfucker just kicked out of my finisher.
That would have been the perfect moment for CM Punk to turn heel. If right then he would have just said, fuck it, and hit Jeff Hardy with a fucking weapon. You know, just I mean, he's probably going to turn heel anyway, but that, oh shit, what do I do now look, that would have been the priceless moment for him to turn heel.
Yeah, and the cameraman actually zoomed in on his face, so you could see it. And he didn't look surprised. He just looked a little pissed off. He's like, no, that wasn't supposed to happen. No, this guy's going to get it. And as soon as he tried to hit him again, Jeff rolled him up for 2. And I thought Jeff was going to win. I'm like, oh, maybe this is going to be the time someone cashes in a Money in the Bank contract and doesn't win a title. Now, too bad, didn't happen.
That would have been a great storyline, but I still think CM Punk can turn heel out of this anyway. He can play up the fact that he beat the beloved babyface, the guy who pops the crowd every single time he comes out, and he can go back to his old Ring of Honor ways, and he can get all smug and cocky and go, I'm straight edge, and that means I'm better than you. I want to see him Punk to turn full-fledged heel out of this.
Yeah. And the last statement I put on that recap, I said the crowd was booing CM Punk for ruining Hardy's celebration, but he couldn't care less. He's just ecstatic that he cashed in the briefcase to win the World Heavyweight Championship for the second year in a row. So, even though Jeff Hardy is down, hurting, he's sore from the match, CM Punk couldn't care less. He's just running around the ring, holding the title. Oh, yeah, baby, I'm the champ. The crowd was silenced. So, this is very interesting to see where it's going to go. I cannot wait to watch SmackDown. I haven't had to say that in a while when a pay-per-view is over, saying I can't wait to watch a show. But that's how SmackDown has been treating me, I never say, I can't wait to see what happens on Raw, because I could care less now.
It's the best show on wrestling right now, bar none. I mean, other than maybe Ring of Honor on HDNet, SmackDown is the only fucking show that top-notch matches every week, best storylines every week. I like ECW, I like Superstars, but clearly the number one and number two shows right now are Ring of Honor and SmackDown.
Yeah, well, I'd like to be watching Ring of Honor, but I can't, and neither can the majority of cable viewers in the United States right now.
Yeah, well, think I'm Warner, who can suck my dick.
Yeah, I don't even have any opportunity to watch Ring of Honor. I wish I could.
Well, I can tell you how you can watch it, which is going to be the way that I'm going to be watching it until the time that I switch over to Dish Network.
Yeah, hey, Justin.tv, watch out for that shit. They've been getting their feeds all shut down.
Oh, hell, don't I know it. Just trying to watch Strike Force on Saturday night. That was kind of rough. There was like only 2 channels that were broadcasting it. They were not broadcasting in the sports channel, by the way. Sunday night, just as soon as nobody's broadcasting WWE pay-per-views over there anymore. Because they've got taken down so much. If there is somebody up on there advertising that they're broadcasting a WWE feed, what you actually get is a view of an image that says if you really want to watch this pay-per-view, then you've got to go visit this other site. And most of the time, it's a site where they want you to pay like $20 to go watch the pay-per-view. And I'm like, fuck that shit. I am not paying. If I am not going to pay WWE $40 to watch it on my cable system in real, true high definition, why would I pay $20 to watch somebody steal it? That's ridiculous.
At that point, you should either pay $5 and go watch it at the bar, or you should pay $40 and order it at home.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to pay money to go watch a pay-per-view and you're not going to order the pay-per-view to watch it in your home, then go someplace and have some fun with it. I totally agree with that. Trying to watch it on Justin TV is getting a little bit ridiculous these days. Actually, you know what? It actually pissed me off so much with all those people throwing up those accounts like that, trying to redirect you to another site, which half the time redirects you like to a third site. I just started reporting those fucking sites for DCMA violations and let Justin TV take them down. I don't need to see that shit plugging up Justin TV.
Yeah, Justin TV anymore is no buys.
I mean, I can understand WWE doing that for pay-per-views because they're losing money, they're losing buy rate. Nobody's going to buy pay-per-views. They're all just going to watch it online on, somebody else's feed. As long as they don't take away the television shows, I'm good because, they won't shut that down because that's free TV anyway. So they're not losing money. They're just losing viewership. But they're losing viewership by putting their shows on shitty networks that don't carry it. Hence why I can't watch Superstars because I don't have that channel. So I definitely hope they don't shut down when they're showing or broadcasting the weekly shows.
Here's a hint to WWE. Stop giving away pay-per-view matches on TV for free and start building pay-per-views that people would actually care about. And maybe your buy rates won't be eclipsed by a 10-to-1 ratio by UFC. Because nobody wants to fucking pay for a WWE pay-per-view when they get title changes on TV for free.
Well, you know what? Here's just as big of an issue, in my opinion. you know what, WWE wouldn't have to worry about shutting down all these free streams if they actually were realistic in the pricing of what the real value of their programming was. The fact of the matter is that they now give away they give away six.
The price of TNA pay-per-view at $10. More people will buy them.
Yes, I mean, WWE gives away 6 hours of programming on television every week, 4 nights a week. They give away plenty of free content over their website. Because they've got so much of that programming spread out all over the place, they have devalued their own product. And on top of that, they are having trouble booking compelling matches and storylines, which further devalues their product. The third problem is you've got 13 pay-per-views in a year, and right here we are towards the end of the spring. You've got 4 pay-per-views in almost a 9-week period?
Yes, 8-9 weeks.
4 pay-per-views in a 9-week period is just complete oversaturation. It's just entirely too much.
Go ahead, Nick.
It's actually 14 pay-per-views in the calendar year.
Is it 14?
Yeah, because you have each pay-per-view per month, and there's only 2 months out of the year that carry 2 pay-per-views. You know, you have the 12 pay-per-views, plus you have Extreme Rules and Cyber Sunday.
It's just entirely too much.
To No Holds Barred. Yeah. Or Breaking Point, or whatever the fuck.
What they should do is, for the lesser pay-per-views, they should charge them for a lower price, and for the stipulation or gimmick pay-per-views, they should put a higher match, because they always have WrestleMania $5 to $10 more, because that's a big deal.
Right.
I mean, if you have Extreme Rules or Cyber Sunday, the gimmick pay-per-views, charge those $40, because that's something that people don't see on a day-to-day basis or even week or month-to-month basis. That's why you should have the lesser-known pay-per-views like Unforgiven or Judgment Day or The Bash. Those should be, friggin' $35 or $30 even, because they're practically worthless because they put on crappy matches. Well, they don't put on crappy matches, but the matches have crappy finishes, which just lead to the next big gimmick pay-per-view.
Right. Well, here's where I'm going to agree with Nikolai on this. WrestleMania, premier show of the year, you charge $50 for that, no question. The other 3 major shows, Royal Rumble, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, you charge $40 for those. The gimmick shows, like the all-cage match shows, like, say you do a fucking Extreme Rules pay-per-view, $30 for that. The other bullshit shows that nobody cares about, like Unforgiven and Armageddon, charge $20 for that. 20, 30, 40, 50 should be your price tier.
Yeah, honestly, Stevie, I don't know if you bought into this, but you remember back in, like a decade ago, 15 years ago, when WWE started expanding on the pay-per-views, they started doing the in-your-house pay-per-views, and that shit was like, what, $10?
Yeah, back then it was like $10 or $15 for in-your-house.
10 or 15, it wasn't a WrestleMania pay-per-view. It was basically just a little bit better than a Raw, but for $10 or $15, if you just got a couple bucks in your pocket that you're wanting to burn, you're not doing anything on a Sunday night except, waiting to see if, what NBC is going to run for movie of the week there. It was a great alternative. And I really think that we need some, if WWE wants to turn a profit on some of these shows, maybe they should consider, dropping that price lower and driving the people in with the low cost. People who are going to, people aren't going to spend $40 on a pay-per-view like Extreme Rules, but they may spend $10. And you could probably find that more people would spend $10 than more people who would spend $40 and end up making a profit.
Well, shit, that's why I used to order the TNA pay-per-views on Wednesday nights, because I could always find 2 or 3 friends that wanted to come over and watch those. And if you split that 3 or 4 ways, that's only like $2.50 or $3 a piece. And most of my friends would get together for the sheer camaraderie of it, let alone the fact that it was a pay-per-view for only $3. And you'd actually get some good wrestling on a Wednesday night when there was nothing else on anyway. I mean, if they adopted that formula, they could throw a fucking pay-per-view on Wednesday night for $10 or $15, and people would get together and watch that shit for $5 or $10 a piece.
Yeah, basically it was a house show right there in your house, right there in your front room. It's just, you know, it was like a little local indie show right there in your front room. You didn't have to go to the arena. You didn't have to deal with the parking. You didn't have to deal with the overpriced beer or the sticky floors or, you know, the sign guy with, you know, with the big ass hat sitting in front of you blocking your view. You got a perfect view of a decent house show for a decent price.
Hell yeah. In fact, if TNA would fucking broadcast their house shows on pay-per-view, I'd pay good money to see that. Their fucking shows in Kennewick and Kent, Washington and Nashville and wherever the fuck they play them, you know, I would pay good money to watch a TNA house show because it's all wrestling matches and no bullshit and no Jeremy Borash fucking backstage interviews.
I guarantee you they would throw in some Jeremy Borash interviews. It's bad enough that I sit here half the night when I'm trying to work and I get a tweet every 30 seconds from Jeremy Borash posting something stupid from the goddamn show.
Yeah. Now Samoa Joe is
that's not...
Everybody go to TNAonline.com to see it. /TNA/Jeremy Borash /Twitter /fuck you.
Of course, then again, I can't blame anybody for myself because nobody forced me to sign up for his fucking Twitter feed either, but sometimes he posts some funny fucking shit.
That's true. I enjoy Samoa Joe's Twitter feed far more than JB's, though. Samoa Joe actually posts about WEC and Strikeforce on his.
Well, damn, maybe I should sign up for that, but I follow too much Twitter as it is already.
Twitter.com/Samoa Joe.
Well, speaking of WEC, I finally got a chance today to see Uriah Faber and Mike Brown. I didn't get a chance to see it because I was recapping Extreme Rules, and by the time I switched over, it was done. But I got a chance to watch it today, and man, what a fight.
Oh, shit. Mike Brown was just fucking killing Uriah Faber, and Faber broke his hand in the first round and was trying every fucking way which loose but to get him, and he was throwing elbows and throwing kicks, and goddamn, he even had him in a choke in the 5th round and couldn't hold on to it because he broke his hand. I mean, that was an amazing fucking 5-round match.
Yeah, I tell you what, that was some of the best MMA wrestling you will probably ever see. That was real sport there. And just the fact that Faber could hang in there, and not just loosely hang in there like BJ Penn did, you know, in his last appearance, you know, where he was just there and wasn't fucking doing anything and just trying to survive. Uriah Faber was fighting for his life. He was fighting for his career. He put it all out there on the line. You know, he would have fought until every bone in his body was broken, and Mike Brown would have done the same.
Yep, that was a real ass fight, just like all the shit I saw at Strikeforce on Saturday night. Every guy that came out there was fucking putting their life on the line trying to win that shit no matter what. You know, win or lose. That's the thing that MMA has right now in pro wrestling is it's everything to these guys. They don't get paid whether they win or lose. They get paid more whether they win or lose.
Yep, exactly. I mean, hell, who was that on Strikeforce Saturday night? Damn it, I'll have to go look real quick, but, well, shit, I can't find it fast enough. Who was it who actually quit his job at Sam's Club to go do this full time, and basically his mortgage was on the line for this fight?
You're talking about Brett the Grim Rogers fighting Mike Andre Arlovsky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His payoff was going directly to buy his house. He was buying right into the American dream with this fight. Everything on the line. That is real. That is real motherfucking life right there.
I even asked him about that in the post-fight press conference because I knew that this guy was just now coming into his own as a heavyweight and becoming a big superstar in MMA. So that was the first time I had a question to ask him. I immediately raised my hand and I'm like, "Hey Brett, if you were offered a fight with Fedor, would you take it?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, those guys get the big money, and that's who I want. I want the big money." Because he admitted it himself. He's trying to pay off a mortgage. He's trying to buy his wife a house. You know, that's what he's in this for. It's do or die for him.
You know, that just doesn't get any better. I tell you, you know what? Speaking of Strikeforce, I tell you what, Joe Riggs and Phil Baroni, that was a pretty scrappy fight too.
Oh yeah, and let me tell you, Phil Baroni's face looked like pizza after that fight. I saw him afterwards, and you could tell he'd been in a 3-round war because there was no part of his face that didn't have a bruise on it.
Oh yeah, I forgot you were there, Steve.
Yeah, my hat's off to Strikeforce. I mean, the Scott Trade Center, fucking awesome arena. Even though I had to look at St. Louis Blues banners the whole time, you know, not really my favorite team in hockey, but be that as it may, Scott Trade is a beautiful center, you know, and they set it up to hold 10,000 or more people, and they told us the paid attendance was 8,867, but you could have fooled me because it looked like 10,000 people were in the building for that show, and they were hot. I mean, they were so hot that the people behind me in the press row were screaming at the cage the whole damn time. They thought they knew more than the fighters in the cage. During Jake Shields and Robbie Lawler, some guy behind me kept screaming, "Use your uppercut, Jake! Use your uppercut!" And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, you know more than the fighters in the cage or their cornermen. But sure, Jake, do what he says.
Well, you know what, Steve? You know, speaking of your trip to St. Louis, did you get to do anything else besides cover Strikeforce?
Oh yeah, I mean we had dinner out. We went to Trader Joe's and bought Roach. You know, we bought all our snack foods that you can only get at Trader Joe's. I bought some fucking Orange Boom beer and some fucking what the hell am I drinking right now? What's this shit called? Hoegaarden. I'm actually drinking some beer straight out the Hoegaarden, so shouts out to Snoop Dogg, because I can only get this shit at Trader Joe's. Hoegaarden beer. But
you know, Peach Messine asked on Friday if you ever found your fireworks.
yeah, we weren't able to find the fireworks in St. Louis. He's right about that. They only sell that in the outlying counties and the rural areas. You can't get that shit in St. Louis proper.
Well, shit, you should have come on over here. You could have bought a bunch of that just right near me.
All right, Kelly,
you can buy it in town.
Have a Strikeforce show in Lexington, Kentucky, and I'll fucking come down there and hang out with you.
Yeah, Strikeforce show.
Lexington is a big fucking town, isn't it?
Yeah, but I don't see Strikeforce coming here. Hell, OVW just made their debut in Lexington 2 weeks ago. It took them this long to run a show in Lexington. You know how many they drew?
How many?
Like 100.
Well, there were local people at Strikeforce in St. Louis.
The local crap, shitty wrestling show that runs in Lexington once or twice a month outdrew OVW.
All right. Oh, the best I can say for you then is put Strikeforce in Louisville. Maybe you could get 5,000 or 6,000 for that.
Well, I don't know. Then they'd be running right up against OVW's MMA promotion, Viper. You know, I don't know if you want to consider that competition or anything, but I don't know how well that's going over, considering Louisville is more of a boxing town than anything. So. All right.
Well, get a Viper Fighting League show with like one name guy on it. Get like Houston Alexander or Joe Dorkson. You know, just fucking somebody main event that show, and I'll come out there for it.
Okay, you just want one superstar on the show, don't you?
Hey, give me one good excuse to come out to Louisville, and you better fucking come your ass out there too, or I'm gonna drive to Lexington and kick your butt.
Well, okay, fine. How about this? Jerry Lawler will be out here in like October because he comes out here like twice a year. How about that?
Jerry Lawler comes to my town once a year anyway. That's not a draw for me to come to Kentucky.
Oh well, fine. Fuck you. What about the Wildcat Chris Harris?
I want.
What about Chris Harris?
No, that's no buys. No offense to the Wildcat. I mean, he was great when he was in TNA, but I'm not fucking flying halfway across the country to see him.
It's amazing how many people he draws out here. I'm always amazed by that.
Well, he's a good old Southern boy. Why wouldn't he?
I suppose.
And back to Nickel. surely he's got something more interesting to say than you and me bullshitting about indie promotions around the country. Hello?
Or maybe he doesn't.
Did you lose Nick?
Nick, are you still on the air?
Oh, I'm here.
I guess he doesn't. Okay. So we've got 7 minutes left to burn on this show. We've talked about every possible fucking thing in the world. We don't have anybody else calling in right now, so, you know, I guess I've learned my lesson here. Next week I'll schedule this show for 60 minutes and we'll go out with a bang.
Indeed.
Sounds fine with me.
Or we could talk about TNA Impact, but they go out with a bang without us doing anything.
Yeah, well, that's okay. I don't need to talk about TNA Impact.
Yeah, well, they bang themselves on the foot.
Bang themselves in every single orifice they can. Ooh, did I say that?
Ew, I did not need that vision. I did not need that vision.
You don't have to say it. They already apply it on themselves with the shitty shows that they put on TV. I mean, I can't stand every backstage. I mean, I'm sick of seeing Jeremy Borash and Lauren every single segment, before and after every commercial break. It's just always them two. I'm sick of it. You know, it's the Jeremy Borash and Jeff Jarrett show.
You know, the only reason Lauren has a job is because she gives Jeff Jarrett blowjobs.
Yeah,
well, I won't say anything on that level. I tell you what, if you did watch last week's TNA, Shane Douglas cut a hell of a fucking promo on Lauren, though.
All right. Wait a minute. That's a good thing for me to rant about. And bear in mind, 5 years ago, when I first started watching TNA, I was still a franchise fan. 15 years ago, when he was tearing ass in ECW, I was a franchise fan. It's 2009. First of all, these people watching TNA Impact don't know who the franchise is. Second of all, he doesn't look like he used to look 5 or 10 or 15 years ago. He looks like an old man. Third of all, him coming out to fucking interrupt the show and say, I'm going to stay here till I get what I want. Really? Who the fuck are you, old man? Go the fuck away. I mean, yeah, he can cut a great promo, but nobody knows who he is. Nobody knows why he's there, and nobody cares.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, when he did that run-in 2 weeks ago, I mean, I knew that I'd read the spoilers that said Shane Douglas was going to show up, but when he showed up in there, I didn't recognize him. I looked hard at him. I thought, is that Doc Hendricks? I mean, I did not recognize him, and it had to take Mike Tenay to tell me, it's Shane Douglas, it's Shane Douglas. And I'm like, really?
He should have
That's Shane Douglas?
He should have come out and said, your ass just got franchised. And then we would all know who he was.
Yeah, but then I still would have looked at him and I said, that's Shane Douglas? God, he looks horrible. I don't need to see him on TV. You know, I mean, he had his good run in TNA, and you know, he did I was a franchise fan too, but when it came time for him to step down and retire, you know, I couldn't have been happier. I thought he went out great. You know, I was very happy if I'd never seen Shane Douglas on TV again, if I never seen him wrestle again. You know, I wouldn't be upset about it. You know, because he went out in a great way. I don't know if that was on his terms necessarily, but, you know, I was satisfied with it. I'm not satisfied with him coming back. I don't see what he's contributing to TNA at all.
Yeah, well, now he's old and fat and can cut a promo, and the cutting a promo part is all he can contribute.
Well, if he wants to cut a fucking promo, then put him in the broadcast booth and, you know, set him between Tenay and West, and maybe he can do something besides have them two bicker back and forth about how drunk West is getting these days.
Well, quite frankly, the drunker Don West gets, the more I agree with him.
Hey, I got something. What do you guys think of Victoria now being in TNA? You know, after she was claiming she's retiring and she wants to focus more on her business, you know, and then all of a sudden she shows up in TNA, even Mike Tenay calls her Victoria, and in the ring she did the Widow's Peak. You know, I could have sworn that, you know, those are WWE licenses. I mean, why is she even back in TNA if she retired?
Well, I can give you two reasons for that. First of all, TNA only tapes 2 or 3 days out of a whole month, so she doesn't have to be on the road every single day like she did in WWE. Second of all, because she works a limited schedule in TNA, she can still do her MMA training, because Victoria actually hopes she can hang with the likes of Gina Carano and Christiane Cyborg at some point. And 3, she can concentrate on her Black Widow Customs motorcycle business when she doesn't have to be on the road 30 days out of a month. So there you go. That's why she's in TNA.
That's kind of what I figured.
And I kind of figured that's the way she was going to end up going anyway, with the way she kind of wrote her goodbyes on her MySpace page. It was just pretty clear that, obviously there was nothing else for her to do in WWE anymore. She wasn't happy with the way the women's direct division was going, so it was just time for her to step out. But I figured that TNA would eventually make her a decent enough offer that she'd come back as soon as she had clearance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I really can't blame her. And in fact, I've been saying this on Twitter all week long, but quite frankly, if you were going to pick 2 reasons to watch TNA right now, first of all, it's that WWE is focusing even more on comedy and bullshit than TNA does, and that's really saying something. And number 2 is that TNA has a better women's division right now than WWE does. So really, if you want to see women's wrestling, why wouldn't you watch TNA?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, now she goes under the name of Tara, so...
Well,
when they announced that it was going to be in
Victoria, that's what they're going for.
Yeah, well, when they announced that it was the title match between Angelina Love and Tara, I'm like, who the hell is Tara? So,
I ain't wild about the name myself either, but.
Yeah. Well, they're just trying to play off WWE any way they can without having to pay WWE trademark infringement.
Yeah, and unfortunately they're not going to let a wrestler use their real name unless, they're big enough, or, they just can't help it. And, I guess Victoria's just at the point where she doesn't really care. Just as long as she gets paid, she'll be all right. So.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, well, she'll make a good living in TNA, and she'll be a star in all the house shows, and everybody will come up to her and pay $20 for a photograph and autograph, so she'll be fine.
Well, with that said, we are getting ready to go off the air here in just a couple seconds, so I'll just go ahead and end it right there, and we will end the show with our theme song, which should have played at the opening of the fucking show, just so everybody can hear it, because I think I did a great job at mixing it.
You're listening to the Angry Marks Podcast Network.